Hey YouTube, what's going on and welcome back to Cairo and His Things. Today I'm trying out another flashlight brand I've never owned or used before, and that's going to be Speras. So we're going to be checking out from Speras the M4 V2. Let's take a look. Let's start off with the size and dimensions on this flashlight. I'll throw those up on the side of the screen. And while we're taking a look at that, let's look at some size comparisons. Another similar size flashlight and a very similar overall flashlight is this Workos TS11. Both take the same size battery. But you'll see here, if you're familiar with the TS11, that is way taller than the Speras. This thing's tiny. The diameter on the head, pretty much identical. It may flare out just slightly more on the Speras there. And on the tail, the Speras is smaller. So this thing is really small, if you're familiar with just how small that TS11 is. And also I've got this Woobin T4. This is a similar size flashlight in that it's 18350 as well, but this is a tactical style. Either way though, let's take a look. Way shorter here for the Speras. Tube is very close. I think the Speras is just slightly bigger there. And on the head, as expected, it's going to be bigger on the Speras M4 V2. So there's our size comparisons. Now let's take a look at the battery and charging on this. So this does have USB-C recharging. There's our port right there underneath this flap. And I do like the flap on here. Usually I don't like bigger flaps, but look at the way they integrated this. It's completely recessed in there. It's not going to get pulled up at all. And you could just barely get your finger in there. Pops up easy, but it's not going to accidentally pop up. See that? So this is really good. I like the flap that they used here. And here we've got a battery indicator on the button. Another cool thing is that when this is charging, you can still use the eco mode on this as well, which is going to be its lowest output mode. Let's take a look at the design on this flashlight. We'll start off with the tail, which is where my first complaint arises, and that is that this does not have a magnet on it. If they would have thrown a magnet on this little light, I think it would have been just about perfect. But no magnet there, so just a standard flat bottom that stands. It does come with lanyard holes, that's great, and it comes with a lanyard, so I've got that pulled on there. And then here on the tube, we do have some knurling. You'll see that it's kind of fine, but man, the quality is great. One thing I can really comment on this flashlight is that the build quality and the feel in hand is phenomenal. Yet again, we have another flashlight brand that I'm not used to working with, where I'll say that the build quality just feels so much better than what I'm used to dealing with. For example, like that Workos we just looked at in the size comparison. Great light, that does its purpose really well, but the feel in hand, the build quality is nowhere near the way that this feels. So great knurling on there and just overall build quality. Man, it is fantastic to hold this in hand. As we move up the light here, you'll see we do have fins for heat dissipation, but you can see there they're fairly shallow, so probably a little bit more aesthetic than anything. They might do a little something. And then we have this rubber switch here. Great click, really responsive, and you cannot feel the switch underneath the button whatsoever. It feels completely solid to click, almost like you're clicking a metal button. It's so solid. So they put a really good button on there. And overall, I think it just looks great, this flashlight. As we move up to the head, you'll see it flares out as normal for these style of flashlights, like with the Workos and the Through Night Catapult Mini. And we've got a TIR lens inside of there, which is going to give you a pretty narrow beam, not a ton of spill. You're going to get a lightsaber out of this. For the emitter inside there, we've got an SFT40. And I did see that somebody said that they swapped theirs, like this, the head was not glued on, so they were able to pretty easily take off the head and swap it for a low Kelvin, high CRI SFT40 instead. So if that's kind of your thing, if you like modding flashlights, apparently this one's fairly easy to mod. Not something I usually do, but hey, that's pretty cool that you're able to on this pretty easily. But yeah, you're working with an SFT40 right off the bat there. And then as far as the performance numbers, we're going to throw those up on the side of the screen. Let's take a look. And then let's take a look at the user interface. Fairly basic settings here. We've got a click on, click off. If you hold from off, you can go into your lowest mode there. So that's pretty normal, and actually pretty low moonlight mode that we're working with here. So that's good as well. If you double click from on or off, you can get into turbo. Triple click, you can get into strobe. You can triple click again and again to go through different strobe modes. And then while the flashlight's on, you can hold to cycle through your modes, low, medium, and high. And again, if you want turbo, that's not going to be in your standard settings. You got to double click for that. And moonlight's not going to be in your standard settings. You've got to hold from off for that. Another great thing is this flashlight does have memory mode, meaning that if I turn this off in high mode, for example, and then turn it back on, it will be in high mode. If I turn it off in low mode, turn it back on, it's going to come in low mode. So this does have memory mode on the user interface. Now let's take this flashlight outside and see what it can do with some beam shots. All right, final thoughts on the Speras M4 V2. My first flashlight from the brand of Speras. I think that this outperforms the Catapult Mini and the TS11. And when you look at both lumens and distance, this outperforms, and it's even smaller than them. So that's pretty awesome. This is the best build quality of those three by far, and just overall great build quality in general. I'm once again impressed trying a new brand. So this is pretty phenomenal. I'm definitely going to check out more from this brand. An important note is if you go to purchase this, I did notice the version 2 appears to only be available in this black color. And if you try to buy it in the sand color or brown color, that's the version 1. So make sure you get the black one if you want the newest version of this flashlight. As far as price, we're looking at $60 on the Speras website. I'll throw a link in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great week.